So welcome back to the cabin once again. Just the other day, I was scrolling through YouTube and up popped a suggestion, heat your home for free. And just like many of you, I clicked on it to find out that someone was trying to tell me that I could heat my home with nothing more than a candle and a couple terracotta pots. And I'll tell you what, I felt really bad that I actually clicked on it because it's not possible. If you want to learn how to heat your home for free or for next to free, honestly, there is no free. Nothing's free. If somebody's telling you something's free, they're probably pulling your leg and they're the one gaining from it. The same with this thing. That video had millions of views. So the only person that's heating their house for free is them. The person that produced the video, because they got you to click on it and they made thousands of dollars off of you and me. But what you have to understand is that the fuel isn't in the terracotta pot. The fuel is in the candle. The same with burning wood. I've burnt wood all of my life. If you really want to know how to save money, get a hold of a redneck who's done it his entire life. He'll teach you how to save money. I gotta turn that down. I'm hitting, thermostat on the wall is hitting 110 degrees right now. This thing is a very efficient heater, and we're gonna get to that in just a second. This is black locust, and for my area, there's only one or two woods that will produce more BTUs per cord than black locust. It really does produce an amazing amount of heat. Do things to your home to help, like I have my curtains drawn behind me. I do have single pane windows in here. I will always have single pane windows in here because it fits my cabin. This cabin would look absolutely stupid if I put double pane windows in there. So I like my old school windows, and I actually enjoy the breeze coming, the crack, they don't seal perfectly tight, and I like that because I have the extra heat. I don't have a thermostat out here in the room. All I got's the one behind there. It's hitting 110. I'm going to turn the blower on here. So the way I control the heat in this unit, one is I have a damper. Two, I have an air inlet on the top, and I have an air inlet on the bottom. If I allow air to go in the top, well, first off, most of the time it stays completely shut, and I close this. It is putting out temperatures. Let me find my thermometer real quick. Right now, I've got 650 degrees there. I've got just about 700 degrees there, and a flue temperature of about 400 degrees. And the thing is, this pipe extends all the way up. So this entire pipe is, we're about 220 at the top, 200 at the top. That's perfect. I like to tell people to keep their flue temperature all the way to the top above 212 degrees. If your flue temperature, that is the gases inside there, are above 212 degrees, you will never get a drop of creosote in that chimney. But by having that long extended pipe, that is radiating heat into my home. The whole, just constantly, that heat is just escaping into the air. And I do run the blower behind there. I shut it off just so it's not making noise while I'm talking here. So that's one unit. Now, I never need to burn it hotter than this. I have a couple different sizes of wood here. This is just your average size. And then I got a bunch of small stuff. If I need a quick burst of heat, this place is pretty chilly when I get up in the morning because I can't burn this one at night. When I sleep up in the loft, if I was to try to sleep with this thing burning, it would be way too hot up there. So I let this one completely go out at night, and I have another one in the basement that heats the back of the house really well, and a little bit of that heat leaks out here so that the loft stays 60, 65 degrees at night, and that's more than enough. I don't need that much heat up there, but when you come down the steps, you can feel it get colder as you come toward the floor. So if I need a quick burst of heat, I burn the small stuff. Now, the small wood has the same amount of BTUs as the big, it just releases it faster. So it produces more heat quickly. If I want to produce heat over a longer period of time, but I want to produce it slower. I don't want a lot of heat, I want a little heat longer. That's when I'll put as big of a log as I can possibly get in there. And with this unit, and only with this unit, I would even put something that has a little bit more moisture content. Because that wood that has a little bit more moisture will burn slower. I have the flue temperature that I don't have to worry about any creosote. This thing will burn green wood. And I mean it. It will burn green wood and not produce a drop of soot in the chimney, because all of that moisture gets, all of the smoke gets burned up and all the moisture goes out the top. There is absolutely zero smoke that comes out of the top of this thing when I'm burning it. I mean, it just, you can just barely see the heat waves coming out the top. Now, I'm going to take you to the basement and show you the other furnace and explain the differences between the two. This one burns a piece of wood 100%. There is zero smoke emissions out the top of it. So it utilizes all of the energy that's in the wood. It does, like if you was to test the flue temperature at the top, there's more heat wasted out the top of this, but it produces way more for the same amount of wood. Where my other furnace sits and smolders a batch of wood. You can put a lot more wood in it. It puts out an even amount of heat, but not as hot as this. I mean, temperature's nowhere near, but you have to learn how to operate it. This thing is not idiot proof, that's for sure. You really have to be on the ball. My temperature on the wall right now is 120. It produces a lot of heat with a little amount of fuel. Okay, let's take a walk to the basement and I'll show you the basement furnace. Now remember, the log cabin, this is kind of like a log cabin with an addition on the back, even though the log cabin came after the addition. I have 2 bedrooms, the bathroom, the other kitchen, a big walk-in closet, a full basement on that side of the house. This side is log cabin, basement. There is no ductwork out here. A little bit of heat spills from the backside into this area, but there's no ductwork out here. So let's go take a look at the other furnace. Now, the Brunko furnace I've had for about 25 years in that basement, and it's what I've been using for the last 25 years. So let's go down there and take a peek at that. Okay, now we're down in the basement, a lot cooler down here. Air temperature down here is about 62 degrees, 62 degrees. This is my Brunko furnace. This is a wood furnace. It is running right now, but it's running really on the cold side. It needs to be fired up. Plenum temperature here is about 82 degrees. Furnace temperature is about 170, 180 degrees. So what this does is it heats up air around this box, and then gently it flows up through my ductwork. Now, again, there is no ductwork out in the cabin. This is all going to the old part of the house. The bathroom, the other 2 bedrooms. The heat from this is primarily going there, but heat rises and it will leak its way out into the log cabin. And on mild days, in the high 30s, 40s, I don't even run the Potbelly stove. This is all I run. So, as I was saying, this thing is laying here just smoldering a fire. It is a creosote monster. I've got videos of me cleaning this chimney. It is the exact opposite of the Potbelly stove. I have to clean this thing 3 or 4 times a year because it builds that much creosote. Now let me show you why. Okay, so this is the door where you feed the fire, and you can see there's next to nothing going on in there. But what it is there's a lot of charcoal in the bottom. And in just a couple minutes, that will all start to come back to life again when it gets air. And I did throw a couple magazines in there, so there is a little bit of paper floating around in there. Earlier this morning, I had a stack of magazines that were from the 50s, and I just was tired of moving stuff around down here, and they all went in there. So they're just processed wood. They'll burn up. But anyway, what you've got is a bunch of charcoal down here, just waiting to be ignited. Now, how you fire this thing is that you just fill it up with wood. And I do mean you just fill it up. With as much wood as you can possibly cram in there. And I think that's about it. I probably could get the other one in, but I'm not going to. Now, this runs on a thermostat. There's a thermostat on the wall upstairs that controls this little blower. And when the house needs heat, it tells this blower to run. And I've got it manually bypassed right now. So it does that. And what that'll start to do, is it'll start to feed air under the fire. Kind of like a blacksmith would feed the fire. It'll feed air under the fire and it'll get this thing burning. Then, as soon as the house doesn't require heat anymore, that blower will shut off. And you can see the flames starting to peek out of there now. A lot of times, if it's almost out, I'll just poke a hole down through it. Let that air come up through there a little bit better. What will happen once the house gets up to temperature where it doesn't need any more heat? That blower will shut off and it'll start to cook that wood. So the very first thing it does is it evaporates all the water out of the wood. It starts to turn the wood into charcoal. The problem with that is it's all wasted energy. Where the Potbelly burns it all up instantly, as it needs it, instantly it burns it up. The Potbelly is producing heat constantly. I can't run this thing like that. I put way too much wood in there. It will overheat the house and it'll catch the chimney on fire. It'll catch the chimney on fire because as soon as I close this door and the house no longer requires heat, it kind of goes to a dormant state. It just sits there and waits. But all that fuel is in there just heating up and evaporating all of the moisture out of there. And it takes along with it a lot of the energy that's locked in that wood in the form of smoke. That's why you see the smoke billowing out. These outdoor furnaces that, some people really love them. I've had experience with them and they are fuel hogs. Why are they fuel hogs? Because that downtime, the time that it doesn't require any heat, you're losing so much of your energy up that chimney and out the top. All the creosote, these things are covered in creosote on the inside of them. All of that creosote is wasted energy. And the same with this. It wastes a lot of the energy because it has that downtime. Now you see as I open it, it's just a billowing pile of smoke in there. And not as bad because there wasn't a really hot fire in there. But okay, so here we go. The small blower is running, which is feeding the fire, which is producing heat. So the fire will be burning really nice and warm in there. So you've got a nice hot fire, which is in return going to give you lots of heat for your home. But as soon as your home demands that it has reached the temperature it wants to be, the thermostat will shut this off, and this thing will go to a dormant state where it's trying to burn as little fuel as possible so that in a little bit it can turn on again. This is when your creosote is built, because a smolder where the charcoal will stay burning, and so you have something that looks like this where it's just got a really mild fire in there until that blower kicks back on. And as soon as that blower kicks back on, then you go back into that hot state. And this is a good furnace, don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking this furnace. This is technology from the late 70s. This furnace was probably produced in the early 80s, but this company was manufacturing furnaces in the late 70s, I believe. So this is late 70s technology. The Potbelly upstairs is early 1900s technology, before we did any of the airtight stuff. And believe it or not, we're just getting back to the point that we're producing wood-burning stoves that can burn with the efficiency of that Potbelly stove. We went through a stage in the 70s and 80s where we went all airtight, and they were all creosote monsters. They were all very dangerous, and that's where your chimney fires. I had a customer ask me one time, why wasn't there chimney fires in the old days? And he's right, there wasn't. And that was because we didn't have airtight stoves. We had stoves that burned freely, and they burned cleaner. As a matter of fact, that Potbelly stove up there burns cleaner than anything being produced today. Every single of the stoves, with all the different air inlets, and they're trying to mimic what that Potbelly stove figured out years ago, and that's just give the fire enough oxygen to burn up completely. That temperature inside that stove of probably, if the outside of that cast is 700 degrees, we're probably talking 12 or 1300 degrees inside that fire chamber, and it just completely burns up all the smoke to where you have nothing coming out the top. Where this one, and you go take a look up there, it just billows the smoke out. And again, every bit of that smoke is wasted energy. So anyway, I hope that educates a little bit. Don't be so gullible. There is nothing free. Every single piece of wood that I put in here cost me a chainsaw, it cost me a log splitter, it cost me gas for my truck, it's what I prefer to do, but there's nothing in this world for free. Everything has a price. I mean, even, I love the wood, I love the wood heat. It's a lot of work. My knees pay for it, my back pays for it, my free time pays for it. It costs me about, I'm going to say 7 full days. 7 full days, daylight to dark, that I have to dedicate once a year to cutting firewood to get ready. Now, I do a lot of milling with the sawmill, and all of those slabs, all of that wood gets, you'll see a lot of this. That's a cherry log that I milled last summer, and it's a slab. It is, all of this stuff gets cut into firewood. I'm not wasting it. So, thanks for coming along at the cabin, and we will see you next time.